Somebody may say the semester continues, the weekly lectures continues unabated. It is not over until it is over. So I think you are beginning to build your momentum, and I hope you're not leaving any stone unturned, even though the semester is very young. But don't wait to the last minute or the 11th hour. You should be able to read right, not necessarily about what you have done, but just expand your scope of reading so that you can really get a concept of whatever you are doing here. So I'm encouraging you to read, and then read very well. Okay. I think so far, so very good. Let's try to see whether we can go back to the last conversation and then see whether we're able to pick out some useful lessons from that. So I expect not less than 5 of you to tell us something useful that you learned last time. Where are we? What did we do? Where are we going? So the floor is open for different viewpoints about our last conversation. Before you talk, please, for the sake of everyone, try to let us know your name. Then you go ahead with any contribution that you have. Hello, are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so
Yes,
until
sir.
you talk, you're not going to progress from here. When you want to break us yeah, me so me sure me say yeah, na time aso ni nyina ya so ko.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Please, I'm Stella.
Stella, okay, good. Stella, which
Last
center?
Friday.
Good, good.
Last week, we learned about types of clinical information systems. And under
Okay.
it, we said we have the ambulatory and inpatient information system. That one includes the OPD services and the inpatient services. And we also spoke about specialty information system. And we said that one also involves the cardiologies and then the specialty areas. And we also talk about the ancillary information system. And we said that those ones include the pharmacy, the laboratories, and the other ones. Those ones that are not mostly, they're not really parts, but they help. They all form parts in helping everything to become successful. And we also talked about
This one. If you say they're not really part, please, I want you to clarify that point.
okay. what I'm saying is, with the okay, the auxiliary, they're like the helping. They all form. Okay, they
Anyway,
involve the pharmacy, the labs, and the others.
okay, go ahead.
And we also talked about why nursing informatics, and we said that they provide a nursing perspective, like how nursing is being done or how we do our things. And then we also said that it distinguishes group of practitioners. It distinguishes group of practitioners, and then it also produces a unique knowledge about how nursing or how things are done in nursing. Please say this is what I can say.
Okay, okay, okay. Very good. But let me just clarify the last point that she made with regards to the type of clinical information systems. So the last one that she mentioned, uh, those auxiliary or the other department that provide complementary role, it is not that they are not part of what. What the point I made was that they are seen as support staff. So if you go to the hospital and then you think that without the nurses and then the doctors, nothing happens. What about the laboratory, the X-ray, the pharmacy? All of them play a complementary role. But the point here is that they are not directly involved in the clinical work. That is the reason why we are saying that they play complementary or supportive role. Okay. So, Stella, thank you for your contribution. Let me pick another tip from someone. The next person.
Stella Kamidio.
Yeah. Vida.
Please, I'm Vida.
Okay.
We
Which
also
center?
Kumase.
Good.
We also made mention of goals of nursing informatics. That it also helps in establishing a nursing language that is useful in computerized documentation. And then it also helps to develop methods to build clinical information database. And then we also mentioned that it helps to develop workstations that provide nurses with needed information. And then the last thing that I had was it develops appropriate methods to evaluate nursing information system. The ones that I had wanted to say, Stella has said it all. So
that's
under
good.
the goals of the nursing informatics, that's what I had.
Okay, good. Can we get the last 2 or 3? Then you wrap up on this and we move on to the next conversation. So I've heard a voice from somebody in Taprade and someone else in Kumasi. The other centers. Let your voice be heard this morning. Okay. I want to hear from 2 more. Okay. Let's go.
You also mentioned about healthcare informatics.
Okay, let's go after you, then we go to Matilda.
And you said they include the clinical guidelines. Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello, we are listening.
You mentioned healthcare informatic tools, and you said they include clinical guidelines, formal medical technologies, computers, and information and then communication systems.
And what else? Can you add more tools? I think we went beyond. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we went beyond the points that you have outlined, but anyway, it's good. So let's go to Matilda. She'll be the last person. Anyway, you didn't mention your center.
Tamale. Tamale Center.
Okay, so let's go to the next person. Matilda, just wrap up.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Josephine. Okay.
My name is Matilda, Tamale Center.
Good.
I want to adapt the informatic tools.
Good.
We talked about the clinical guidelines. We talked about formal medical terminologies, and we talk about the electronic medical records. You gave example under it as the test results, progress notes, nursing notes. That's what I can remember. Thank you, sir.
Matt, your line is breaking. Okay. So
I talked about the informatic tools.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned quite a number of them. So carry on.
I said we talked about the clinical guidelines, the formal medical terminologies, and we talked about information and communication system. And you even mentioned electronic medical needs record. Example, you gave nursing notes and progress note. That's what I can remember. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I think that is not the only tools that we mentioned. There are several areas of tools that are employed in nursing informatics. I don't know whether you didn't pay attention to those ones. So who can remind us of some of the tools that were added in addition to what our sisters have spoken about? Okay, Anita.
Sir, some of the tools refer. I'm Anita, Other Center.
Good.
Referral trackers. You mentioned of patient portals and then blockchain, where you said that the blockchain security measures to safeguard patient information.
Good. Okay. Okay, good. So, Florence.
Sir, we also talk about goals of nursing informatics.
Okay.
We said the goals are you have to establish a nursing language. Good. You have to also develop and test patient care decision support system. And also talk about develop workstations that provide nurses and needed informations.
Good. Okay. Okay, so I think we can move on from here. So just as they have indicated, we began by looking at introduction to nursing informatics. So where we reviewed, definition proposed by the American Nurses Association, and then again, the American Medical Informatics Association. The definition that they proposed, that has been the standard or the accepted definition. And then we also realized that without understanding of what data, information, knowledge, and then their relationship, it will be difficult for us to really communicate among ourselves. So those items that I've mentioned underscores the importance of nursing communications, which relies on data, information, and knowledge. And then we also acquainted ourselves with information science, whereby we said that information science is just an aspect of a computer science. It was just set up as a discipline out of a computer science. So we can say there's a subset of a computer science, whereby the intent is to look at how computers or technologies affect organization. So we are able to tailor the conversation around clinical information systems, among other, just as our sister has already indicated, that we have the types of clinical information systems, whereby she mentioned ambulatory, and then we also have the auxiliary or ancillary information systems. And of course,
taking up on my but drugs, maybe I mean, who baby,
why no?
Drugs,
who is acting as a co-host? Please, once you hear anyone on the page, just take the person off. Even though we understand that some of you are not on study leave, some of you may be on duty, either night shift among others. It is well noted. But we can also disturb us in as much as you understand that because of work-related issues, sometimes it becomes difficult for you to join, like that. But at times you can also make arrangements and then somebody can stand in for you so that you can focus more on your lectures. Okay, anyway. So we talk about ambulatory and the inpatient information systems, then specialty information systems, and then we also look at ancillary information systems. We need all of these systems, and this one may come up to form what we say that data integration and interoperability. So all these useful departments are also integrated or migrated onto the electronic health record systems so that together we can have what? Very strong communication. Okay, then just as they also mentioned some tools. So as for the tools, in addition to what others have mentioned, we look at referral trackers, patient portals, blockchain, telemedicine or telenursing, artificial intelligence, and then machine learning. All these are some of the tools that affect nursing informatics. Then we also review goals of nursing informatics, especially the one proposed by the National Center for Nursing Research, which I said is distinct from why nursing informatics. So let's try to see. Let me take your picks on the things that you perceive to be the positive impact of nursing informatics on patient care. How does technology or informatics affect or shape nurses' decision-making process? Okay, anyway, before this, where did you end last time?
So we end at the goals.
The goals of nursing informatics. Okay. So we ended at the goals of nursing informatics. Let's progress from here to look at the positive impact of nursing informatics or how informatics affects or shape nurses' decision-making process. So let me get your perspective on that. So the floor once again is open for your views on the question. Okay, I'm there.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, nursing informatics, it helps make the retrieval of a patient's information easier and faster. I think that's one importance of it.
Okay, so it just facilitates the recovery of patient information, so you are able to easily locate and then retrieve the patient records. So they're very important. And what brings about this? Because of the EHR system, which represent the core of that is the master patient index number or index. That is the OPD number, which represent the core of the EHR. So because the system relies on the master patient index, that is the OPD number, become very easy that once you query in or enter the patient OPD number, straight away you have access to patient records. So that's a very good point. Okay, someone else should also give us from a different perspective what I mentioned. How does informatics affect nurses in their handling of patient? Okay, Georgina.
So please, it helps in terms of privacy and confidentiality. Unlike the folder system that everyone has access to it and can read anything from it. But with the LIMS, you can't, without your password
or the staff ID, you cannot enter and then read client information. So I think with privacy and confidentiality, it has been.
Okay. So Georgina indicated that data security is more improved.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. Yeah. Data security is more improved compared to the paper-based systems, whereby this one, like I used to ask a question that with the advent of technology of this sort, how do providers safeguard or protect patient information? So one of the key points to safeguarding patient information is through credentialing nurses or professionals who handle such systems. By doing so, you are able to guard off people who have malicious intent to have access to patient information. So data security measures are very important. Okay. Can we go to Anas?
I thought you want to go and say like, but
Anas, can you come clear on the point you are making? We hardly hear you. Okay, let's go to Auho.
So
I
it
was not the
helps.
one talking.
Okay.
So it helps to
Hello.
promote communication and then collaboration among health team members. So the use of electronic systems, patient information or data can easily be shared across to promote effective collaboration among the health team members.
Okay, so that's one of the pillars of establishing electronic health records, especially for collaborative work. How can we improve communication or share information across the continuum of healthcare delivery? So this aspect of technology leverages on collaborative work among the healthcare professionals. That is why we're able to send information across the various departments. So that's a very good point. Can we go to Matilda? Then we come back to Anas.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
It helps in the continuity of care.
Yeah, it strengthens the continuity of what care. Unlike the paper-based system, whereby continuity of care at times become very difficult. But this one really guarantees a continuity of care, and that is very important. Okay. Anas, can we hear you before we go to Erica? And the last person may be Georgina.
Okay, so it has impacted on the quality and cost of healthcare.
Okay. So the overall intent of nursing informatics or the application of technology in healthcare delivery is to improve on quality healthcare delivery. It's all about quality. So once you have efficiency, also having effectiveness, obviously it will end up in quality. And that is the purpose or the intent of informatics. Good. Okay, Erica.
Sir, please, I would say that it reduces errors and also promotes evidence-based practice.
It does away with what errors and then promotes evidence-based practice. It is very important patient life or affect patient life negatively. And that is the reason why we want to use computerization to improve on the services that we give to our patients. So that the last person, Georgina.
Sir, please, considering the telemedicine and then telenursing tool, it also helps to get direct contact with our patients at a distance.
Yeah. So the concept of telehealth, that is telenursing, telemedicine, also come to fore in our conversation, whereby those people who are disadvantaged, elsewhere, can also have direct clinical services being enjoyed by those in urban areas. So regardless of the region or whatever you are, positively, we can also extend some of these technologies to improve on the plight of our patient. Okay. Okay, Anas, do you want to make some further?
Yes,
okay.
It has also helped us in terms of clinical decision making. When you plan care for your clients, it's so easy to implement and makes work very fast.
Okay, so she has also raised a point about clinical decision support system and how it affects clinicians or care providers. So there's a saying that the one who is cutting a path does not know that behind him or her is script. So it is very important that we also have some kind of software derivative design that may make something like artificial intelligence to support the clinician in the decision-making process. So if you are making misdiagnosis or you make some errors that may not even come to your attention, such systems are designed to provide you with reminders or alerts so that you are put on the right track. Okay. The last person, Esther.
Yeah, please, it has helped to reduce the papers. Those days, they used to spend so much to print out papers. It has helped to reduce that.
Okay. So she said that it has really improved on the traditional known way of documentation, that is the paperwork. So we are having a more robust system, that is the electronic health records. So there has been vast improvements. Okay. So in as much as, or whichever way the conversation is going, I want to make it clear to you that with the advent of technology and how it is affecting our patient in everyday, today, services or the routine services, it has also become very expedient that you position yourself in such a way that you also become masters of what? Technology to better manage your patient. Please, who is disturbing us? I thought somebody has been made a co-host. So,
Sir, please, you are the co-host. No one is the co-host.
really?
Sir, you are the co-host. You can remove her.
Okay, let me just remove her. That is, Esther is disturbing us.
Mr. Sapon.
I've removed her. Okay. So, it is very important that you position yourself to take advantage of some of these conversations that we are having to better manage your patient. Whatever you learn, whatever you do, it does affect computerization or informatics. So it's very important that you know the various tools and how better to apply them to make effective for decision. Okay. So let me just share. Okay. So the positive impact of nursing informatics on our patient care, just as some of you have already indicated, we have improved patient safety. So once you are avoiding errors or you are not causing further harm to the patient, then to some extent that we can say that you are improving on patient safety. So the safety of our patient is very important. And that is why per the definition of the American Medical Informatics Association, they said that the application of technology in healthcare delivery should not cause any harm or any negative consequences on the part of the patient, but rather should promote the welfare of our patient. So safety is improved. Then we also want to leverage on effective communication so that we can promote information exchange among care providers. And that is very important. Then we want to increase efficiency. So for instance, somebody said that you can easily get immediate access to patient records for a more coordinated and improved work. So once you are able to get immediate access to patient work, and then there's an improved workflow, then we can say that it is leading to efficient and effective healthcare delivery, which will end up in quality healthcare. So efficiency is very important. And then also want to improve on decision making. I've always indicated to you that some people think that they are custodian of knowledge, and whatever decision that they make, it is final, you don't even challenge them. That is why these days they are coming up with artificial intelligence that may even be able to even think ahead of the provider. So it is very important that we design some of these systems to support the decision-making process. And computerization improve decision-making process of care providers. Then we also want to improve on education. There are so many avenues or ways that you can educate your patient. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is only face-to-face encounters that we can provide education. We can even have online portals that may support the patient education. So it's also very important. Then computer information system prevent nurses from making medication errors and then misdiagnosis. That is why the system is streamlined in such a way that all the needed information are being captured. So at any given time, you have immediate access to some of this information, and this one will go a long way to reduce what errors that may happen as a result of what negligence or not trying to have a way out in terms of having complex or unrelated or diagnosis among others. So they're also very important. Then we can also interpret clinicians' orders. This is very important. You are talking about validity of what prescription. So it is very important that you don't have to conceal or hide certain information from what other healthcare providers. But through the computerization or electronic health records, we are able to get the right information and give the right interpretation. Even if you don't even understand, you can, intervene and then get the needed understanding before you progress from there. So these are the positive impact of informatics on patient care. Anas, I've seen your hand. Anas. Or this is inadvertent, you don't mean it. Okay. So in addition to this one, we can also say that it also helps nurses utilize research to provide evidence-based care. So at your own convenience, the system has been designed for you, and you can do extensive research to add up to whatever information that you have. So that is also very important. And then it is also believed that it makes nurses work faster, smarter, and then competent in what they do. In fact, research shows that patients have more trust in nurses or professionals who use computers to handle them. So that is what research indicates, that most patients have trust in in staff who use computers to support the decision-making process. Then it also eliminates ambiguity, redundancy, and the tedious process of documentation. So we will have to be less burdened in terms of the application of technology in healthcare delivery, unlike the paper-based system, which is characterized by a lot of ambiguity, redundancy, among others. So this one replaces the tedious process of documentation. And then by leveraging on technology, we can also say that we are also adding or contributing to knowledge, especially with regards to nursing as a discipline. We also add up because it is more innovative, very inventive. So by applying that, we can say that we are also positively affecting what? Nursing. Okay. Anas.
Yes, sir.
Your hand is up.
Yes. I've been made a co-host, so I'll control the class for you.
Okay, good. So let's progress from here. Then with this one, in as much as somebody may say that nursing informatics at the infant stage in Ghana here, we have spoken about a number of positive aspects of nursing informatics. And I know that in some of your facilities, you also come up with a lot of challenges. So let's try to see whether we can express some of the challenges that we encounter in our everyday today routine work. Let's try to also get appreciation of some of the setback that may hamper the full utilization of some of these tools in informatics. Okay, Vivian. Vivian.
Please, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sir, I wanted to find out something. I don't know how I'll call it. I visited a hospital in Accra.
Then it happened that I visited TTH, Tamale Hospital. And immediately I gave my insurance out, and then the records manager entered. He told me the last time I visited the hospital in Accra and mentioned the name of the hospital I went. Where can that be classified in technology?
Okay, so in terms of this one,
yes,
there's no any meaningful way to classify. But what we are saying is that the last meeting that we had, I indicated to you that we just want to centralize our system. They began in 2015, but it was not through technology of this sort. They introduced something we term as decapitation. They wanted to reduce the number of visits to different healthcare facilities. So patients were restricted to not more than 3 facilities. This time around, what they're also trying to say is that they want to also link up patient information to most of the healthcare region, and then I don't know whether Savannah region, they are doing some piloting project to see how feasible it will be to expand some of the technologies so that information can be found in just one place. When I say information could be found at one place, it means that information may be incorporated into one centralized system. So if you visit Confanoche and another time you want to go to TTH, you can still have access to your records, and that one can also support what continuity of what care. So where you visited, I don't know whether it's a private hospital or government hospital. Vivian, can you clarify that?
It was a government hospital.
Government hospital. Okay, so
yes, please.
Maybe this one, I'm yet to find out whether it cuts across, but I know that it is just an ongoing piloting project. Project that is ongoing. So I will have to see further clarification as to whether it has now been widespread. Quite a number of facilities are joined together as one centralized system. So I'll have to seek that and then give you maybe feedback on that. But what I know is that at the moment, it is not widespread. If it is happening, maybe in few jurisdictions, but it doesn't transcend all borders. Okay. I hope you're okay.
Yes.
So can you tell us? Can you tell us about okay, there's no need for you to. You can call me behind the scene and then tell me the facility in Accra, and then so that maybe I can take the conversation from there. Okay. Felicia. Felicia.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, can we hear you?
Yes, please. Esther unmuted and answered the question, but she's saying that you've kept her in the waiting room. So if you could please bring
now
her.
You see, I can't readmit her because you are supposed to comport yourself very well so that you don't disrupt the process. So she'll stay back next time when she come.
She answered the question, or she wasn't making noise.
No, you see, whenever somebody is talking, we see everything, right? Once you're talking, we're able to identify you. Okay, so let's carry on. I just asked a question about how informatics is also affecting your work negatively. What are some of the challenges that you encounter with regards to the decision-making process using some of these tools that you have mentioned? So let's also share our viewpoints on that. Khadija.
Please, lack of access to internet.
Lack of access to internet. Okay, good. So if regards to somebody at the waiting room, we didn't design the system, so it will be difficult for us to readmit, for me to admit the patient. I'm just a co-host, so I'm not the architect behind the whole setup. So once you go off, there's no way I can readmit you. So let's take note of that. Okay. So our sister, what did you say?
Please, I said lack of access to internet services.
Yeah, internet services have become a major setback. So most of the time, whenever you ask students or you want to find out from the facility staff, some of the challenges that affect their use of technology in healthcare delivery, they'll not go without mentioning what network and the internet issues. So negatively, it does affect the flow of information across the continuum of healthcare delivery. Okay, very good point. Can we also go to Anas?
Yes, sir. Lack of in-service training in terms of uh, how to use the computers or how to apply the knowledge or taking data and transmitting it into information for it to become knowledge. Why am I saying this? Sometimes the in-service training will be performed for just few people, but when new staff are employed, then they forget to teach them as well. So when it happens this way, work becomes so difficult for the newly employed, personnel.
Okay. Okay, so I've heard you very
Yeah,
well.
please,
You're talking about, yeah.
Please, according to Esther, she answered the question and the person was making noise. So she was trying to tell you the name. So when you came to the participant, you saw her microphone open and then you took her out of the group. So please, she's pleading behind doors.
No, the issue is that she was the one making noise, right? And that is why I
No,
move
sir.
her.
No,
Like
she
I said,
was
at the
telling
moment
you the one who was.
you see, on the platform here, the moment you begin to talk, we see who is what talking. Are you getting it? Just as you said that the microphone was what open. We see it here. So she cannot say that she wasn't talking. Are you getting it? And I'm saying that I didn't create the page or the platform that we are using. So if I'm the one behind creating the page, then I would have been able to easily readmit her. But as it stands now, it will be difficult for me to, because I'm not the brain behind the setup. So next time when she comes, she should handle herself very well. Okay. So you are talking about lack of training for users in terms of some of these technologies. Even though I may have my own concerns about this one, there's no any facility that will want to establish electronic health records without giving attention or training to their staff. And I know that as part of the restructuring process, once all the necessary information or tools have been well integrated, the onus of responsibility lies on the management to ensure that staff are given resounding training, and once they have become conversant with how the system works, it is then that they can make it operational. So what I've noticed is that whenever the training is ongoing, either some staff may not be available, either they are on night shift, some of them are on steady leave, some of them are on leave. So in their absence, it also affects what? The work. So whenever such trainings are going on, it is very important that those who are on leave, they are also called back to join the training. Without adequate training, it will be difficult for you to use some of these systems to better take decisions. Okay. So can we, Lydia?
Sir, please, at times it's time consuming and long waiting hours on the part of our clients, maybe due to the poor transmission or data connection.
Okay, so it's all just about network. Sometimes internet really affect the decision-making process. Okay, so poor network concerns. Okay, good. Can we go to Georgina?
Sir, please, poor electricity system. And sometimes the light out will go off for a very long time, and you end up writing your information on sheets of papers, which can easily get missing. So the electricity system is another
especially
issue.
when you go to the facility and then there are setting up such systems. Sometimes if the facility doesn't have backup plan to support in case maybe electricity go off, I think what other facilities have resorted to do is to switch to the paper-based way. So when the light is restored, you have to do transcription onto the computer system, which becomes what? Workload. And then nobody may be willing to do that. And that is why it becomes very important that the facilities use their internally generated fund to procure some of these backup plans. In as much as you are seeing it to be a major setback, in other places, they don't also see this one to be a setback. We are just looking at the one that have what direct impact on the clinical workflow, right? So this one, you should champion some of these things in your facility that once they set up such system and then you want the system to run on continuous basis, it is very prudent that they also devise strategies to procure backup plan. They have their MPs, they have their DCEs. They should take advantage of, some of these things and then see how best they can back up, their facility with such systems so that you can have stable flow of what information across what the continuum of healthcare delivery. Disruption brings the work to what? Temporary halt, and it will affect the patient, it will affect our staff. So I think we can also look at other alternative ways of what? Generating power to support that. Okay, Madeline, you'll be the last person. Then Garis will be the last person. Okay. Hello, Madeline. Hello. Okay, if she's not ready, can we go to Gladys? Gladys, can we talk?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Sir, please. Hi.
Gladys, let's hear you.
Sir, please. High setup cost.
Okay, high setup cost. Okay, that's a very good point. In as much as it has a major part to play in terms of the challenges affecting computerization, most of the time I'm more interested in the challenges as it does affect what the clinical workflow. So if you're talking about the cost or the exorbitant nature of procuring the software or the hardware, among others, this one is within the means of what management. Our rule is that management will have to buy or the government will have to procure, make these systems available for us to use. So how a computerization, electronic health records affect what the clinical workflow. Okay, but anyway, it's a very good point. Let's go to the other person. I've forgotten about the name. Okay, it's in chat room to see what others have also posted here. One challenge is the healthcare. Data breaches have been occurrence of what? Our system nowadays. And that is why it becomes very important people with malicious intent to get access to patient information. So it is very important. Then somebody is also raising concern about when you forget your username and password, you can't access service for client. With this one, can we consider this one to be disadvantage? Because in terms of setting up your credentials to be able to log in, at the system can even suggest some credentials for you, but that one may seem more complex. So you are allowed to select your own password and a username that you can remember. So if you forget this one, though it will negatively impact the work as a whole, but it will affect you, the individual. So this one, we cannot really link it to negativity, but we can say that it may have an impact because it may cause delay. When it happens this way, you need to what? Set up another usernames and then password. But situation whereby you have to get a colleague's username and then password, that one doesn't have to be encouraged. You see, they do periodic audit of all the encounters that you have. They do that, they run that. So any error that goes in your name, you will be held accountable for that. So please, whatever happens, it happens in your name. So whenever you want to give out your usernames and a password, it should be changed as soon as possible, because whatever happens may affect you, or either you go back to that people to set new password for you. Okay. And then we also have, I think that's where the conversation ends, but I've seen some hands here, Lydia and then Hannah. Lydia and Hannah, okay.
Sir, good morning. Please,
Good morning.
I want to ask a question. Can it be a challenge? I want to know if it can also be a challenge on part of client relative, in the sense that when you use the folder, like the folder system, sometimes there are some conditions about patients that doctors don't declare to client relative, but when you have access to their folders, at least if you are educated enough, you can go through it and know the exact thing that is wrong with your client, with your relative. But in the case of putting them on computers and stuff, no, won't those information be hidden from the client relative? Because sometimes doctors don't tell us the exact thing that is affecting the family member.
Okay, so this brings us to the issues of privacy, confidentiality, security, and then ethical use of patient information. There has been a lot of issues people have raised about data security and then confidentiality. So you have designed electronic health records having in mind the people you can identify, the facility can identify itself with. So for instance, as part of what GCUC project, if you're not a student there, and then you say you want to have access to the school's records, it doesn't really work that way. Even though family members have a great role to play in terms of supporting their relative, but the information is just under the preserve of what? The patient and the facility. So whoever comes in may not be an authorizer, or the person cannot be, that the person doesn't have to be authorized. Your records are not there with the facility, even though you play a major role in supporting your relative. But how should the information be made available to somebody that is not considered as an authorizer or doesn't have access to the facility and then its services? So as far as I'm concerned, even in as much as they play a critical role in terms of supporting their relatives, information should be hidden from them because they don't have their records there, but they can pay an assistance by clinicians directing them, go and do this, go and do this. But the information should be made known to them, except that where the clinician deemed necessary. For instance, the law stipulates that patients should make his or information available to the clinician for them to support the decision-making process. But the law also stipulates that clinicians should also have direct access to what? Patient information to strengthen the decision-making process. So it is a mutual process, but you don't necessarily have to have direct access to what? Patient information when you're not authorized or you're not part of what? The facility. You can't do that. So I've just given a scenario that if you're not a student in any institution, you don't have to have any direct access to their records, except that where management may deem it necessary. So this one doesn't affect, confidentiality or privacy on the part of what? An alien or somebody who is not an authorizer or doesn't have that authority to have access to patient records. Okay. And that is why even the clinician themselves, they also register, care providers also register with the facility. So before you can authenticate who have access, who doesn't have access, it begins by what? Giving credentials. So the OPD number that the patient come up with, it represents the credentials that authenticate them to have direct access to what? The facility services that they provide. I hope you are fine. Somebody is also saying that plagiarism too, because someone can copy your notes and assume, yeah. So for instance, somebody can be your relative, but once they also understand the content of whatever is in the folder, they can also use it against the patient. That is why information is very important that such information are concealed or hidden from the patient so that they don't have direct access to the patient or records. So it is very important. Some people will come with what? Malicious intentions for their own whims and caprices, but we should try to ward off some of these intruders so that we can safeguard or protect patient information. Okay, then unstable network availability, it is a common challenge in most of the facilities. Power outages, time consuming. So how does electronic health records contribute to time consuming? Except maybe you come clear on this one, you should be able to justify why you think that it is time consuming. The system is designed to speed up the rate at which we take decision. So is it that you are doing double work that you have to write via the patient folders and then you go back and then transfer the information to the computer system? If that is the case, it is time consuming, but your facilities have not made what arrangement to make things what very easy for you. Okay. Now let's move on to the next point. We are just looking at let's try to see whether we can appreciate case studies of how nursing informatics is impacting patient care. So the examples that you have indicated, let's try to see whether we can also indicate some few case studies to see how it is also affecting patient care. For instance, a patient's health and welfare should remain the top priority for care providers. So for patient to be able to receive best possible care, nursing informatics will have to, or nursing informatics in some way help to improve communication and coordination among the clinicians and the patient. This happens by providing, real-time patient data analysis. Nurses can better understand how the patient is feeling and center their care on individuals who provide individualized, centered care. So it is very important that way. Then another way that we can also talk about is that nursing informatics has also been used to monitor physicians in the medical setting. And how do we use some of these technologies to monitor physicians? Physicians who may not be at post, we have a way that we can track them and then see what they also do. For example, we can design some algorithms. The algorithms are just the processes that are designed to support the decision-making process. So for instance, if you want to design a model, those models are trained. And when those models are trained, the model can take what decision or can make some predictions. And that is what I talk about the algorithms. So through an algorithms that monitor doctor behavior online, there's a way that nurses can track whether or not they are meeting their professional goals. So there are so many ways that we can track that, but it depends on the algorithm that or a model that you design, and you should be able to train those models to be able to track, the thing that they do online. Okay, so another maybe case study that I can also add up to the conversation is that through the patient data entry forms that physician must complete in order to gain access to vital information like the allergies, medications, among others. Nurses can keep track of progress and check on treatment or regimens. So all these things are very important, and it is positively impacting what healthcare delivery. And that is why I said that we should go beyond our immediate scope. Once we become masters of our field, and then we are able to effectively apply the technology, then some of these conversations may come to fall. Right? Okay. So let's look at some of the rules of nurses in informatics. These have been designed or classified as the rules of nurses in informatics. There are so many things that we can do. The point I want to make here before I go through the points is that
your screen is stagnant. You are not showing it.
The screen is being shown. So
no, sir.
You're not seeing
it's
it.
there, but it's stagnant. You are not moving it.
Now coming to talk about, he said it's still a scenario. So what he actually said was a scenario.
Oh, don't worry about the rules of nurses in informatics. We used to have this one. Okay. So maybe reposition yourself so that we can see it well. There are so many things that we can do until we become part of the the design processes. We may not be in full control of what our own information systems are in the decision-making process. They should also be the architect behind what the software, the do's and the don'ts of the software. You should be able to know all of them and how it affects what healthcare delivery. So at the moment, what we do is that we sort to vendors and then other IT experts to come up with a software that can support the decision-making process. When it happens this way, we are not in full control of what our own information system. So we are encouraged that we should be able to take what advanced studies so that we should be part of what design processes and how it will affect what nursing care. So by this, you are going to identify the various rules of nurses. And by the end of this session, you should be able to take firm decision in terms of the skills and the competency that you have at the moment. So the first point is what? User liaison. Product manager, clinical system installer, system analyst, or programmers. So let's try to see. When we say liaison officers, what is that? So in terms of nurses' role as liaison officers, for instance, nurses in this role should be able to get themselves involved in the installation of computer information systems. And they should be able to interface with the system vendor, the nurses, and management of what healthcare institution. The point I want to make here is that when you say liaison officer, you are acting as what, an intermediary between your facility and then the vendor. The vendors are those people who sell the computer hardware, the computer software. So you should be able to have what invaluable knowledge about how to identify the right vendor with the right software, the right hardware, and then communicate this information back to your facility. So you represent your facility in terms of what procuring the software, the hardware for your institution. And that is a role as what user liaison. You can also be involved in the installation of what the computer information systems, because you have a direct link with what the vendors. Once you want to install or restructure the whole process, you should also take active involvement, because at the moment what you see is that we have IT offices that are attached to our facilities. So whenever we have some hitches or any setback, we just run to them. We should also rather think of what immersing ourselves deeply by going beyond what our mere scope, so that we can take upward further challenges that may widen the scope of what our understanding in terms of the application of some of these technologies. Okay, so I said that the role of a nurse as a liaison officer is to represent the facility by advising the management in terms of the software that the facility will have to procure from what? A vendor, either software, either hardware, the installation process. You should be able to, represent your facility. Before you can do that, you should have what invaluable skills and competencies to be able to what? Identify the right software, the hardware that can support the decision-making process very well. Okay, let's go. Before I go to the product manager, let's go to patient. Patience.
Hello, sir. Please, concerning the product manager, I'm not getting it well. And if what you are saying, I understand it, I think every hospital has a software manager or someone who manages the IT sector in case of software update and everything. So I'm somehow confused with the product manager. How necessary that manager? Kindly go over, please.
Okay, so in fact, I have not mentioned product manager. I'm here to go to the product manager. I was just talking about user liaison officer. I'm saying that your role or position is that you should represent your facility in terms of you are supposed to coordinate with the vendors who sell the computers or the hardware or any other software. So you are supposed to provide advice to the management why they should go for software A, software B. And that is why I said that you should have what invaluable skills and then what competencies to be able to identify the right software that may meet the needs of the facility. For instance, in other facilities, they may decide to go with what we term as what an interface or device or point-to-point interface. It is all about electronic health record software. Some of them are two-host system, others are also three-host system. So for instance, the point-to-point interface relies on what? Two systems. And then the interface engine also relies on what? Three-host system. So people who may set up using the face-to-face, interface, point-to-point interface, because of the complexity involved, sometimes integration becomes very difficult. So what they do is that when they are using the point-to-point interface and it doesn't work, they will have to quickly switch to what? The interface engine. And that is why in some places, they were using other software and then it didn't really work to satisfaction. And they had to switch to what? Either LEMS or maybe HAMS. So that is why I'm saying that the liaison officers should have for the technical acumen or eye to be able to identify the software that may meet the needs of the facility. So these, the conversation that we are having, especially, this is more peculiar to those in advanced countries whereby they have nurses who are acting as well, liaison officers, and then they are able to advise their management as to why they should go in for software A, software B. Even most of you will start with me that whenever they are going through the restructuring process, they take the views or information from the heads of departments, nursing, pharmacy, radiology laboratory, and then they will be able to assist the IT people to set up their information or incorporate their information onto the computer system. Ideally, you are going to use your information to take decision. So you should be able to get yourself involved in the software that you want to use and how it will affect what. Because you are just directing the IT people as to the kind of information that has to be embedded onto your computer. So our role as nurses in our current stage should go beyond what you are doing. So that is the point that I'm trying to make. I don't know whether I've been able to clarify myself very well for your understanding.
Yes, sir, now I understand. Thank you very much.
Good. Now let's move to the product manager. Product manager, these are some of the rules of nurses who have specialized in informatics, and then the software that you are using to take decision. They are the architect behind those software. It is not IT people who have to go and then design some apps or some software for us to use. You should be able to get yourself involved in that. The nurse may be in this role as a product manager, should be responsible for updating a current product. And the person should be able to keep him or herself abreast with what new development in the field. So the point I'm trying to make is that you have to constantly update your management or facility as to an evolving or emerging software. So you think that based on the system that you have, if the system is so compressed to support integration processes, then you can update your facility or management about an emerging or current software and why maybe they need to switch from A to B. Then product manager, you can also be involved in the development of applications like decision support systems, bedside and then handheld terminals. So when I'm talking about decision support systems, some of these things you can, it's just a software, or you can also design some apps that can assist. Please, just a minute.
Esther, I mean, stop writing on the screen. Esther.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so please, did you get the product manager very well?
Sir, please take it again.
Okay, in terms of the product manager, the point that I'm making is that as someone who is accountable to your facility or who have been selected as a liaison officer for the facility, your role go beyond what, trying to identify the software that may meet the needs of the facility or the institution. You go a step further to update your management about current trend or new development. Maybe there have been new, improved software, right? You can just update your management and then convince them why they should rather change or switch to software B instead of software A. So it is also one of the rules of what product manager. You update your facilities management about the current development and why they should go in for such software. Then beyond this, they are also involved in developing applications
Sir, please, we can't hear you. Okay, then let me continue. If you want me to continue, I'll continue. So you were at user liaison, no, product manager. So you're saying the nurse in this role is responsible for constantly updating a current product and keeping abreast of new developments in the field. So you're saying that as a product, as a liaison, you should help in the product management. That is, you can develop a decision support system that in simple terms, it says software to help in the facility or to help in the facility in terms of how they can fetch information or how they can upgrade their system. So when you find a current developing software and think it is good, that the manager or the facility administrator needs to know about it as a liaison of the facility working in terms of product manager. You can also let the management also know about it. So they develop applications like decision support system, nursing staffing system, scheduling system, bedside and handheld terminals. That is it about product manager. Then the third one was clinical system installator. So he said in this role, the nurse works with the vendor who sold the computer system to the healthcare institution. She or he helps train users of the system, serve as liaison between the healthcare institution and the vendor, and works closely with the system coordinator for the healthcare institution. So the third point, a nurse being a clinical system installer is that you also act in a role, the nurse work like someone who is selling, a software or a computer system to the healthcare institution. You also serve as a liaison between the healthcare institution and the vendor, the one that came to install. You could see that at the facility, there were people that came to do the installment. So you as a nurse could be medially between the vendor and then the facilitator, so and the facility. So you could communicate between the vendor and then get a proper software for your facility. I should share my slide. I can't share you. I can't share my slide.
Okay. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry for the setback. Some slide hitches. I'm back. Okay. So let's carry on with the concept of, product manager. I was just making a point that if you look at clinical decision support system, there are so many information that can be integrated with into the clinical decision support system, which is just a software. For instance, you can have something we term as the quick medical reference. We can also have something we also call it internet 1 or 2, among others. All of these include several areas of medical disease conditions, among others, or period diagnosis that are part of what such information, and they are integrated into the decision support system to assist the clinician in the decision-making process. So through that, the configuring stage of decision support systems or any software application, your role should also be visible so that you are involved right from the onset of what the design processes throughout the stage of what implementation. Okay. So that is the product manager. Now let's pay attention to the next role of nurses in informatics, whereby we can say system analyst or clinical system installer before we come to the system analyst. So when you say clinical system installer, what are you to install or what are you to do? So in terms of the clinical system installer, you work with the vendor who sold the computers to the institution. So your role is to be able to also train your police with regards to how the system should work or how they should use the system. So the training that the IT people offer to us in our various facilities, we should be the active behind that. Once you have the required training, skills, and competencies, it is part of your role to also train your staff with regards to how such systems should affect your healthcare delivery, right? Because, for instance, these IT people are not what health inclined. They are using the technology to support the services that we do. But because they lack appreciation of what healthcare delivery, we should rather be championing this, be it active behind the technology, and then you use it the way it affects what our decision-making process. But we rely on their expertise to get trained and then lay our hands on such systems. So the clinical system in Solita, your role is to deal with the vendor who sold the computers and then help train your healthcare institution. The staff over there. You can also serve as a liaison between the healthcare institution and the vendor. So it works in them. So we can also serve as a link between your facility and then the management as well. But your role should go beyond that, by affecting your police in terms of how they can also translate their knowledge to positively affect nursing care. So that is the system, clinical system insulator. Then the last role of a nurse in informatics is that you are supposed to be a system analyst. So that is why if you go to some facilities, the actual people are made as the system administrators. Some of the things that they do, you are supposed to be the one to be doing it, but because we are not conversant and then the competencies or the expertise may not be there, that is why they are attached to play those supportive roles. So the programmer or the analyst, you are supposed to work with the information system department, analyzing and then maintaining the system. So like I said, that the facilities you have for a centralized database system, that becomes the source of what information for the facility. So you should be able to control the workstations and then feed the other departments with the needed information, because you are looking at how you can support stability of what information across the continuum of healthcare delivery. So with the workflow, you structure and then ensure that you have stable network that may not bring about any hitches that may affect what healthcare delivery. So that is an aspect of what the role of nurses in information, the role of nurses in informatics. And then we can equally also talk about other rules of what nurses in informatics. We can have what chief information officer, nursing informatics consultant, network administrator, the one that we see in our current facilities, those network administrators. Once you also have the needed expertise, you can also play that role. Then data repository specialist. So for instance, with the ongoing piloting project, you see how best we can utilize a single source of information, that is a single centralized database system. They are trying to go through integration process, integrating all nursing information systems across the continuum of healthcare delivery. And who is championing that? It is going to be experts in the ICT who will be able to synchronize all this information to become what? Just one centralized system. But your role is very important. And then once you want to become the owners of your own information system, then some of these processes, you should take active involvement right from the onset of what? The design processes. Okay. So these are some, you can also become nursing informatics educator, especially research in Ghana here that those people handling informatics courses in the nursing training colleges, about 98% of them are not technically sound in terms of applying some of these technologies. So we want more nurses to go into education, because as part of the clinical training, we need nurses to develop the right competencies before they are immersed into the main work, right? That is after posting, so that they will be able to know the competency from what there to possibly what make impact. So you need a lot of nurses and health professionals to go into that. And if you want to have this kind of tremendous growth or impact, it begins with what? The nurses in our various educational institutions, especially the training colleges. So that when they come to the facility to work, it is nothing new to them. And then they can build on from there. Okay. Okay, so I've seen one more hand here. Matilda. Matilda. I've seen one hand here. Matt. Any question? Please, are you with me?
Hello, sir. Sir, please, can you take the clinical system and the system analysis again?
Okay. So let me start with the system analyst or the programmer. I'm just making a point that you are the analyst. So you may not even directly be involved in the clinical work. Your role is that you are acting as a system administrator to provide stable workflow of information across the continuum of healthcare delivery. So any hitches that may negatively impact on workflow, it is your role to ensure that those hitches are not visible, but you can control it and ensure that it doesn't really negatively affect work processes. So your role is that you ensure stability of what information flow across the continuum of healthcare delivery. So for instance, the workstations act as a centralized system that becomes the source of information for supporting all the departments. So your role is that you sit by the system, control the system, and ensure that they get the needed information to support their patient and then the decision-making processes. So that is what I mean by the system analyst or the programmer. So with regards to the other one that you also asked, that is the clinical systems installer. So I said that even though it works in resemblance with that of, the user is young, but the major rule here is that once you have the needed competencies, you should possibly affect your colleagues by training them. Once they are also getting the needed training, they can also use such systems. At the moment, what happens is that we rely on the expertise of what IT people to train us on how to use the system. But they may not be necessarily be head inclined unless in that wise we support them. So instead of trying to use IT people to support us in the decision-making process, which is a step in the right direction, but we can handle the two roles or dual roles. I hope you are getting it. Okay. My sister, are you okay? Okay, Abigail. Abby.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And please, I don't know if it's from my end. I can hear you from afar. Then it will come a bit closer. Then it will go off. I don't know if I'm the only one experiencing that.
Okay, so it is just part of the hitches that I'm talking about. As part of the disadvantage, raise concern about poor network concerns. So maybe it can be as a result of what? Unstable network. So maybe either you reposition yourself very well, I will have to reposition myself so that we can have stable flow of what? Communication, which is one of the roles of nurses as a programmer or analyst. We control the hitches, we control the storms, and ensure that there's continuous flow of what? Stable information without any hitches. Okay. Mabel. Mabel. Yeah, I've seen your hand. Hello. Let me see whether I can.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Mabel.
Sir, please, I want to know if the hospital IT personnel can be grouped under the analysts.
For them, I think I wouldn't say that they play dual role. It's like almost everything they do it for us. So if you want to talk about the system analyst or the programmer, they control the database or the workstations and ensure that whenever you have any HS or any problem, they will have to address it for us. So we can liken them to the system analyst or the programmer. We can equally also associate them with the clinical system insulator, whereby they are supposed to train us on how best to use the software to support the decision-making process. So they can also play that role. Then the product manager, they will also have to go and then update management as to why they need software A over software B. And then, yeah, they are also involved in the bedside and then handheld terminals, among others. And then they can also act as what? Liaison officers. They serve as an intermediary between the facility and the vendors who sold or who sells the computers and then the software. So the role that you are supposed to play, that is what they are doing. Please, I hope you are getting it. Mabel. Hello. Hey, what is happening? Hello.
Hi, sir.
Please, can you get me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
Any further concern before we wrap up on our meeting? Okay. Any question, any concern here? Is there any contribution somebody want to make to enrich the discourse here? Okay. It's better that you use your name so that we can easily identify you. The number Huawei, right? Can you mention your name so that we can just identify you? Please come with your names, right? Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, next time if you don't come with your name, I will not ask you to talk. So make sure that
yes, sir.
Come
Thank
up with
you.
okay.
Sir, please. Yes, sir. Sir, please, the clinical system installator. I don't understand why the nurse should be the mediator between the vendors and then the hospital administration. I think the IT people, whoever is in the hospital managing the IT system for that should be the mediator between the institution and then the vendor, and not the healthcare workers. Or am I lost? I don't know if I'm.
Yeah, I think you are completely at a loss.
The clinical, you said the nurse works with the vendor who sold the computers to the health institution.
Yeah, the point I'm making is that just pay attention here. I said that if you go to advanced countries, they have trained nurses who design applications, right? Softwares among others, and how it will affect what nursing care. I hope you are getting it. So the point I'm making here is that the IT people technically were trained for the business or environment. But because we lack competencies, that is why they are attached to our facilities. So in advanced countries, it is the nurses who are directly involved in configuring or designing or some of these software or applications. So in terms of the nursing acting as well, an intermediary between the facility and then the vendors, you are going to work with all the software. The IT people are not going to work with the software. All the information that are incorporated onto the computer system or the software, it is just about nursing information systems. Are you getting it? The role that they play is to support the restructuring process. But who feed the IT people with the nursing information that, as it may be captured on a computer system, it is your information that is captured there, and then they don't know anything about the information that you put on the system unless you feed them with the information. That is why, ideally, you should rather be involved in engaging what the vendors and then come up with what the right software that may meet what your needs. Because once they do, and then the integration process doesn't go well, they still have to go back or get another software that can support what integration process. That is the integration and interoperability. And that is why I'm saying that nurses should also be trained to have a direct hand in some of these things. But I'm not saying that that people are not supposed to be the one to do it. They are doing it for us because we don't have those expertise. So what I'm trying to say is that you can directly be involved in the positive impact of your work. I hope your concerns have been addressed.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah, I'm having the internet is unstable here. Okay. So in future, let's say in advanced informatics competencies, we expect that you go beyond this immediate or current scope, right? So I just hope that Ghana Health Service and then the Ministry of Health will come to the realization that we need advanced competencies in informatics to be able to transform our health sector through digitization or computerization. So when they include informatics competencies as part of the study leave programs, it is then that we can really feel the impact. Okay. Because for instance, the IT people always have to go and then learn new models, and then come and train us on how those models should affect healthcare delivery. Why can't we also learn from the basis and then use our own information system? Okay. So I think time is almost up. By 9, the system will shut me down. Is there any concern, any question that I have to know? Is there any concern, any question that I have to know? So next week, we are going to look at applications of nursing informatics as applied in nursing clinical practice, education, research, and then nursing administration. We are going to look at the various examples and how it affects those diverse areas that I have mentioned. Then we also look at the historical antecedent or perspective of nurses in informatics. So this will bring us to the end of today's meeting.